afternoon, everyone. So first, let me introduce myself. I am Joyce Songkayawan from BS Ed 1B. So today, we're going to discuss about the physical and sexual self. So now, let us continue. Next, before we're going to continue our lessons, we need to know the intended learning outcomes. So first, discuss the different views on beauty and reflect the true essence of beauty. Next, discuss the developmental aspect of the reproductive system. Next, explain and characterize the diversity of human sexual behavior. Next, discuss the chemistry of love and attachment, and discuss family planning and education and population education. Now, let us tackle the introduction of this topic. It has been believed that the sex chromosomes of humans define the sex, female or male, and their secondary sexual characteristics. In our society, we can see that there's only sex, female and male, and also we have secondary sexual characteristics. So the example for this secondary sexual characteristics is gay or lesbian. From childhood, we're controlled by our generic makeup. It influences the way we treat ourselves and others. So as a girl, you have the things that you need to do that boys cannot do. So if you are a boy, there's a things that you need to do that the girls cannot do. However, there are individuals who do not accept their innate sexual characteristics, and they tend to change their sexual organs through medication and surgery. So the example for this situation is lesbian and or gay. So as we notice in our society, there's a boy that he changed her sexual organs into a girl, and there's a girl that he changed her sexual organs into a boy. Aside from our genes, our society or the external environment help shape ourselves. So these lessons help us better understand ourselves through a discussion on the development of our sexual characteristics and behavior. So now, for us to know more, let us continue our lessons. Next, the topic that we're going to discuss is views on beauty. So first, let us tackle about the physical self. This refers to the concrete or tangible aspect of a person. So it refers to our body that can be directly observed and examined. This includes all physical features found on the external body of a person, like for example, our outside appearance. Next, the two types of beauty, the inner and external. Inner beauty refers to the inner and internal qualities such as character, personality, and behavior. So it involves the goodness and purity of our thoughts. It simply refers to a personality of a person. Next, external beauty refers to the physical characteristics of the person, such as shape of the body, skin tone, and body form that is pleasing to look at. So it is our attractive figure or appearance that brings notice to someone. Like for example, as I mentioned, our shape of the body, skin tone, body form, that is attractive to look at. Next, influences of media on the adolescent's understanding of beauty. Teenagers tend to copy the physical features of the people they idolize on TV or in magazines. Features such as hairstyle or color, clothing style, makeup, etc. So, as we've noticed nowadays, mostly youth follow their idols' physical features like their hairstyle, the color of their hair, and their fashions. So that's the influence of media to all youth nowadays. Self-esteem and its significance. This is sometimes referred to as self-worth or self-respect, which is an important part of our success. Self-esteem refers to person's overall sense of self-worth or personal value. Self-esteem is important for the person's development because it can motivate a person to succeed or achieve his or her goals. Feeling confident about yourself and your capabilities motivates you to succeed. So this is how we value and perceive ourselves. If we love ourselves and we have a confidence to do the things that we want, we can succeed someday or we can success. Next, we're going to discuss about development of the reproductive system. First, in different stage, pseudo-hermaphrodites on versus true hermaphrodites. Next, puberty. So now, first, let us study the indifferent stage. Indifferent stage. So first, let us study the gonads. Gonads are the male and female primary reproductive organs. The male gonads are the testes, and the female gonads are the ovaries. These organs are responsible for producing the sperm and ova. So ova means female age. So gonads begin to form until the 8th week of the embryonic period. During the early stages of development, the reproductive structures of males and females are alike and said to be in different stage. So it means in the first stage of gonadal development, it is impossible to distinguish between the male and female gonads. Thus, it is known as the indifferent stage. Next, pseudo-hermaphrodites versus true hermaphrodites. Pseudo-hermaphrodites are individuals whose reproductive structures do not match with their gonads, while true hermaphrodites possess both ovarian and testicular issues. Next, puberty. Puberty occurs from age 10 to 15 years old, where reproductive organs grow to their adult size and become functional under the influence of hormones. Testosterone for male are the primary sex hormone of a male, and estrogen for female, sex hormones of female. In males, as they reach age 13, puberty is characterized by increase in the size of the reproductive organ, followed by the appearance of hair in the public area or the face. Reproductive organs continue to grow for 2 years until there is mature semen in the testes. Also, other changes also occur such as broadening of shoulder and deepening of the voice. In females, budding of the breast starts from age 11. Menarche is the first menstrual period that occurs 2 years after puberty. Other changes are the widening of the hips and the modulation of the voice. Now we're going to study about diversity of human sexual behavior. First, erogenous zones refers to the parts of the body that are receptive and increase sexual arousal when touched in a sexual manner. Common erogenous zones are the mouth, breasts or nipples, genitals, and anus. Other common erogenous areas of the body are the neck, thighs, abdomen, and feet. So this is the parts of the body that excite sexual feelings when touched or stimulated. Next, human sexual behavior. Defined is any activity alone, between two people, or in a group that induces sexual behavior. Two factors that affect this behavior are inherited sexual response and the degree of restraint. So the example for this is the masturbation, sexual intercourse, oral sex, non-penetrative sex. So this is human sexual behavior is the manner in which human experience and express their sexuality. So we have types of human behavior. That is the next lesson we're going to discuss. Types of human behaviors. First, solitary behavior. Solitary behavior characterized by sexual arousal through self-gratification or self-stimulation. So, the example for these types of human behavior is masturbation. Next, sexual behavior involves sexual arousal received from other people, such as spitting, hugging, kissing, caressing, or coitus, or sex. The example for these types of human behavior is intercourse. Next, we're going to study the sexual cycle response. So first, the stage 1 is the excitement phase. The 2 phase, 3 sexual climax or orgasm phase, and the last is resolution phase. So now let us first discuss the excitement phase. So now let us study the first sexual cycle response for the excitement. This is caused by increase in pulse and blood pressure resulting to increased skin temperature, flushing, and swelling of body parts such as the male reproductive organ and breast for female. So this stage 1 of sexual cycle response, this is all about arousal. Like our erogenous zones will be hyper because if you are having sex or we're going to have a sex in our boyfriend, the excitement will be start in kissing, in touching private parts like our breast, private parts that we call, and this is the called excitement phase. The second sexual cycle response is plateau, or this is the brief period that occurs right before orgasm. This is the heart rate up, muscles contracting. So for example, in the app, what I mean is, yung partner mo at ikaw is nagsisex na, at yun yung feeling, yun yung matatawag na plateau phase. Next, the third sexual cycle response, the sexual climax or orgasm phase. This is marked by a feeling of upchuck, intense pleasure, a rapid increase in pulse rate and blood pressure, and spasm causing contractions of the female reproductive organ and ejaculation by the male. So the example for this is breathing up, muscles contracted. Example, the eruption and release. What I mean is, tapos na kayong nakipag-sex at ilalabas na lang yung mga bagay na nasa loob ng inyong reproductive organ. What I mean is white semen, na pagkatapos ng sex nyo, yun ang lalabas ng bagay na yun, at yun matatawag yung orgasm or sexual climax. Next, the last sexual cycle response, the resolution phase. The last stage and refers to the return to a normal sociologic state. Levels of sexual arousal decreases for male, but continuous stimulation can cause repeated orgasm of females without the rest period required by males. So it means that everything relax, return to resting state. Like the example for this is post-act. Everything, the two lovers is already done doing sex, and everything is normal. Now let us study the 5 cycles of sexuality. First, the sensuality. Next, sexual intimacy, sexual identity, reproduction or sexual health. The last is sexualization. Now let us study the sexuality. The sensuality. Sensuality is awareness and feeling about your own body and other people's bodies, especially of a sexual partner. This enables us to feel good about how our bodies look and what they can do. So it allows us to enjoy the pleasure of our bodies that can give us and others. The example for this is the body image and experiencing pleasure and release from sexual tension. So why body image belongs to sensuality? It is because body image, whether attractive and proud on our body, that way it influences many aspects of our life. Then, while experiencing pleasure and release from sexual tension is belong to sensuality, because sensuality allows us to experience please when we or others touch certain part of our body. Next, sexual intimacy. Sexual intimacy is the ability to be emotionally close to another human being and to accept closeness in return. This includes the several aspects of intimacy are caring about another, liking or loving a person, emotional risk-taking, and vulnerability to a loved one. So the example for this is romantic relationship. But note or remember that your relationship doesn't necessarily to be romantic or to engage sex to have an intimacy. The relationship between you and your friends and other loved ones is an intimacy as well. Next, sexual identity. Sexual identity is a person's understanding of who he or she is sexually, including the sense of being male or female. Or this is how we perceive ourselves as human beings. So in sexual identity, we have three interlocking pieces. It is gender identity, gender role, next, sexual orientation. So first, gender identity. Gender identity is one's internal experience of their gender. Next, the gender role, knowing what it means to be male or female. Third, sexual orientation, whether a person's primary attraction. Next, reproduction of sexual health. These are the person's capacity to reproduce and the behaviors and attitudes that make sexual relationship healthy and enjoyable. So it implies that people are able to have satisfying and safe sex life, the capacity to reproduce, and the freedom to decide if, when, and how often to do so. Last, the sexualization. It is aspect of sexuality in which people behave sexually to influence, manipulative, or control other people. Often called shadowy side of human sexuality, sexualization span behavior that range from harmlessly manipulated to sadistically violent and illegal. So this includes flirting, seduction, withholding sex from an intimate partners to punish him or her to get something. Now let us study the chemistry of lust, love, and attachment. First, lust. Lust is a strong feeling desire. This is space where it's driven by the sex hormones, testosterone and estrogen in both men and women. The testosterone is came from men and estrogen is came from women. These two basic types of hormones excite the feeling of lust within the brain. So, why there is lust? It is because the estrogen and testosterone that excite the feeling of lust within the brain. The next is love. This phase is said to be one of the beautiful moments in life. This is the phase when a person actually starts to feel the love. This is amazing time when you are truly love struck. So we have three main neurotransmitters involved in this stage that are adrenaline, dopamine, and serotonin. This is the reasons why we feel love. So next, attachment. A bond helps the couples take their relationship to advanced levels. It produces the feeling of creating a family and falling in love wholeheartedly. So we have two hormones influence in these feelings of attachment. That is oxytocin and vasopressin. Now let's talk about sexual health and sexually transmitted diseases or infection sexual. First, intercourse, a sexual behavior that may produce sexual pleasure that often culminates in orgasm in females and in males. This may also result in pregnancy and or STDs. Next, premarital sex, sexual activity practiced by people who are not married. Premarital sexual intercourse are the usual causes of sexually transmitted diseases or infection and HIV or AIDS due to lack of guidance on proper and protected sexual intercourse. Next, HIV and AIDS. Human immunodeficiency virus is the virus that causes AIDS. AIDS is acquired immunodeficiency syndrome which primarily attacks the immune system. So how do people get AIDS? Through bodily fluids like blood, semen, vaginal fluid, and breast milk. Next, the intravenous and drug abuse, sharing of needles and use of anti-sterilized blades, sexual or next, the intravenous and drug abuse, sharing of needles and use of anti-sterilized blades, sexual or like for example, the needle prick. Next, intercourse. It is an unprotected vaginal, oral, and anal sex. So, the other forms of STD or sexually transmitted infection is chlamydia, gonorrhea. It is a sexually transmitted infection that caused by bacteria. Next, syphilis chancreoid is the bacterial sexuality transmitted caused by infection. Next, human papilloma virus or HPV is most common sexually transmitted infection disease. It is usually harmless and goes away by itself, but sometimes can be led to cancer and genital warts. So next, herpes simplex virus or HSV is an infection that causes herpes or herpes is cold sores and fever blister around the mouth and the face. So next, Trichomonas vaginalis is trench or is also known trench is a common sexually transmitted disease caused by infection with a protozoan parasite. Next, let us study the family planning and population education. So first, teenage pregnancy. Pregnancy in human females under the age of 20 at the time that the pregnancy ends. The risks are more on socioeconomic because teenagers do not have a stable source of income for the needs of the baby. So teenage pregnancy was defined as having at least one pregnancy between age of 14 and 19. Abstinence from sex, not engaging in sexual intercourse until after marriage, or not having any kind of sex with a partner. Next, family planning, also known as responsible parenthood, characterized by regulating the spacing of births of children. It is giving birth according to health and economic condition of the family and giving birth of the mother according to her right age. Benefits of family planning. For the family, it is promote healthy and happy family. For the mother, can recover her health and strength after delivery. And for a child, it is better chance of growing healthier and well cared.